Truly, like when it's on your face, nobody knows how expensive it is, so. Hey guys, and welcome back to my channel. Today, I'm gonna be showing you how to look expensive and luxurious using extremely affordable products. You guys know that that's one of my favorite things to do, is to not only prove to myself, but also show you guys that it really does not always matter how much a product is. You can achieve amazing, luxurious, long-wearing makeup looks without breaking the bank. And I just really felt like doing that today. Honestly, I've been feeling a little bit overwhelmed again because I feel like for a minute there, the makeup industry kind of slowed down on launches, and I feel like now everybody's kind of catching up and picking up speed, and I'm honestly really excited about so many launches, but my wallet is hurting just thinking about it. And so as I was thinking about what video I wanted to film, I wanted to remind myself again and show you guys how I love to really indulge in affordable makeup products. And actually, I feel like it's easier for me to really enjoy affordable products because I'm not so concerned about using it up and having to repurchase it as much as I might be, you know, with a more high-end item that costs a little bit more. Sometimes those pricier items, it's a little bit painful when I use them up or run out. So yeah, I'm just gonna show you guys step by step what I do. And also these products that I have in front of me are so good. I do have a couple new products that I wanna try, but it's from a brand that I really love and trust, so I'll tell you when we get to that. But yeah, that's what we're going to be doing today. I'm going to start off with complexion. Things are opening up here in Utah a little bit more, and so I had a facial this week. So just ignore the areas where I had some extractions done. It usually takes a few days for those to completely heal and go away, but nothing a little concealer can't fix. So for complexion, I wanted to use the Believe Beauty Radiantly Primed Face Primer. Now this is actually a newer product to me. I think it's kind of new to Believe Beauty, but Believe Beauty is one of the most incredible brands. I still don't know how they do it. This is a brand that's exclusive to Dollar General, so it's not even a drugstore beauty brand, it's a dollar store beauty brand, and it is so good. Everything that I've tried from this brand really does compete with my high-end makeup products, and it's wild because I find myself genuinely reaching for them over some of my most expensive complexion products. So anyways, I'm just using my hands to kind of blend this into the skin. I think one way to kind of give your complexion a more luxurious and healthy look is to use something that's going to be a little bit more glowy. I've been really loving this one because it spreads out super nicely on the skin. It's very glowy, but it's not sparkly. So it's going to come through the foundation in a really natural, like lit from within kind of a way. And like I said before, it glides over the skin really nicely. It kind of smooths everything out, but then it also like sets down into the skin. It actually recommends that on the back you allow it to set down into the skin for 1 to 2 minutes. So I've been doing that, and I feel like it really helps because it does actually change texture once it sets into the skin. So I'm just gonna let that sit for a minute. While that locks in, I'm going to share with you the foundation that I wanted to use, which is also from Believe Beauty. I don't know how they do this. It is $5. So everything in this line actually is $5 and under. By the way, this is not sponsored or anything. You guys know how much I love Believe Beauty, and I still get so shocked every time I use their products. It seriously baffles me how they can have such high quality packaging and products and like formulas for such a low price. But I'm not complaining. So this is the Believe Beauty Skin Finish Foundation, and I use the shade Nude. It's a glass bottle with a pump. I'm just gonna give this a good shake. I'm gonna go ahead and apply 1 pump to the back of my hand, and then I'm going to take a little bit of this at a time with my Real Techniques buffing brush. Real Techniques makes some of the best brushes ever that are affordable. I will have some of my very favorite sets linked down below. But I'm just going to start to blend this out all over the face, and the primer has set by now, and it has a little bit of a tacky finish, which is great for gripping the foundation. So it's going to make your foundation stay all day long. So I think no matter what foundation you're using, less is more, and this is something that I discovered more recently. I mean, I had always heard that term before when it comes to makeup, but I have acne prone skin and I have discoloration, and so for me, full coverage foundations are what gives me the most confidence, but I have learned that I can still kind of use a little bit more of a light hand and shear out less of the product all over the skin just to even things out all the way. And then you can always go back over blemishes or problem areas with a little bit more foundation if you feel like you need it, or if it's a larger area, or if it's a smaller area like a blemish, you can just spot conceal with a concealer instead of caking up the foundation. foundation. And I feel like that's a great way to make things look really luxurious and really skin-like because, I don't know, there's just something expensive looking about that kind of a skin look when you can tell that it's like evened out and really flawless, but you can't tell where the foundation starts and stops, if that makes sense. So that's kind of my goal here. I'm just continuing to buff that out with that Real Techniques brush, making sure to get along the sides of the nose because I have redness there. I also take it up through here because I usually have discoloration in this inner portion of the eye. And then I'm going to take my sponge with whatever's left on the back of my hand. I just pick that up and then I'm going to press this into the skin. And what this will do is it will pick up any excess product and it will also help to press this into the skin. The skin will warm up the product a little bit more and it will make it look even more skin-like. This is a Thrive Cosmetics sponge. I will have my favorite affordable sponges down below. This is just one that I recently opened and I've been trying to use consistently because I tend to do that. I tend to like open a ton of sponges and then I can't remember which one is brand new and which one I should be throwing out. So this is the one that I've been using right now, but I have so many that I love that are super affordable that I will link down below because I feel like tools really do make a difference. But again, it's one of those situations where it doesn't always mean that more expensive means better. I found amazing, amazing tools at the drugstore for really affordable prices. Okay, so things are looking nice and even toned. You can see where my blemishes are still peering through. I'm hoping that concealer will cover this. I guess we'll find out. I wanted to use the Believe Beauty You're Covered Liquid Concealer, and I'm going to use the shade Fair over top of blemishes. So I'm going to go ahead and kind of spot conceal, just dotting that over top of the areas that need a little bit more coverage. I have quite a few spots today. And I'm gonna let that dry for a little bit. What that's gonna do when I have like a pretty dark spot on my skin, I let the concealer sit and dry for a minute and it will actually provide a little bit more coverage. You don't want it to dry completely, but when it dries like halfway, I would say, it makes it really, really nice for covering blemishes. And then that way you don't have to use like 2 different formulas. You can just use whatever concealer matches your skin tone. I'm gonna go ahead and go in with the shade Ivory underneath the eyes. This one is a little bit more pink toned and a little bit lighter. So that's going to provide a little bit of brightness underneath the eyes, which will also make my complexion look nice and fresh and awake and luxurious. So I'm just gonna apply that there. And then I'm gonna take my Real Techniques Deluxe Crease Brush. I'm actually going to kind of spread out the under eye concealer first. I don't want this one to dry too quickly because I wanna keep like pretty light layers underneath the eyes that'll help avoid caking and settling in the fine lines under the eyes. So I'm just gonna go ahead and kind of buff that out gently. It doesn't have to be perfect, but I just kind of want to map out the general area that I'm going to want this concealer to lay. So I'm kind of picturing like a triangle shape, bringing it down here and then bringing it up here to kind of lift and brighten the cheekbones slightly too. I'm going to use that to kind of spread out the concealer on the chin and down the center of the nose as well. Again, it doesn't have to be perfect right now because I'm going to go over it with a sponge. I'm going to blend this out too on the Cupid's bow. That's just going to help lift the lips a little bit and create a little more soft dimension. Okay, so for the blemishes now, I feel like things are probably pretty dry. I'm going to go ahead and go over it with my sponge, just at the tip of the sponge, gently kind of pressing everything down into the skin. Some of these blemishes might need even more concealer, but it's always best to start with less, and then if you need more coverage, you can always add more coverage. It's so much easier to do it that way versus trying to remove too much coverage. After the blemish concealer is blended out, I'm going to go ahead and press everything down into the skin, underneath the eyes, and then also in the T-zone wherever I applied that lighter shade of concealer. I'm just going to dot a little bit more on these 3 in the T-zone. I don't mind the other ones on my skin. Sometimes I actually prefer to let a little bit of my blemish show because again, it makes the skin look more natural and then you avoid like too much product being caked up on top of something you're trying to cover. I'm happy when my skin is just generally more even toned. It doesn't have to be flawless. I think it's more realistic that way. I'm gonna go ahead and take this brush and kind of stipple that around the blemishes. Maybe that will help conceal things a little bit more. Yeah, that seemed to work a little bit better. Okay, the complexion is looking nice and fresh. I mean, if you asked me, I don't know if anybody could tell that this complexion is all dollar store products. Truly, like when it's on your face, nobody knows how expensive it is. So, you know, if it's a dollar store product that performs well, that is my favorite. I love to be able to say that too, because sometimes, you know, I'll go out and I'll wear this foundation and I get compliments almost every time I wear it. It's such a good foundation. It wears so well on my skin. And it's my favorite thing to be like, oh, thanks. Yeah, it's actually a dollar store foundation. It's $5. It like blows people's minds. All right, next up, I'm going to take a little bit of setting powder. This is my Wet n Wild Photo Focus Translucent Setting Powder. One of the best I've ever tried from the drugstore. Another product that competes with my high-end powders in my opinion. And it's like $4 or something like that. It's wild. I'm gonna take a little bit of that, seriously like the tiniest bit, and I'm just gonna press this underneath the eyes. I made sure to press out any extra concealer that was in the fine lines under my eyes, just to make sure I don't lock those in. So I'm just taking a fluffy brush and pressing that down. I'm also taking some of that same powder and kind of pressing through the T-zone. This is gonna smooth out any larger pores. And I also wanna make sure that I'm locking in the concealer over top of those blemishes that I just covered. That'll just make sure that they stay covered all day long. Kind of pressing it into the forehead area too. And I always like to put a little powder through my brows. It helps me when I do my brows later. I don't know, I just get a little bit oily in the brows, so it helps me to like press some powder in there, and it makes the pencil kind of stick a little bit better. Okay, I think things are nice and set in the T-zone. I wanted to use another powder that I love that really adds that hint of luxury to the skin. It's the e.l.f. Halo Glow Setting Powder. This is a gorgeous glowy powder, but it's actually not like sparkly. I'm gonna take this on like a dual fiber brush, and I'm just going to kind of buff this on the outer portions of the face. Okay, I lied. I'm actually gonna kind of stipple it around the area first so I can get some powder onto the skin, and then I'm buffing it. But this is amazing because it's gonna make your makeup last all day because it's a powder, but it's not gonna take away that healthy, glowy look that your skin has when you have just liquid products on or cream products. I'm gonna put a little bit down the center of the nose and Cupid's bow. And then just to make sure that there's not too much powder going on, I'm gonna gently take my sponge and just press really lightly over the complexion to kind of melt things back down into the skin. I'm loving how the complexion is looking. I'm gonna go ahead and warm up the face with one of my favorite bronzers of all time. This is the Milani Silky Matte Bronzer. I have the shade Sunlight. This is fabulous. I'm obsessed with this bronzer. It's honestly one of my go-tos for special occasions. It's just foolproof. I never feel like I go overboard with this. And if I do go overboard, like it always looks natural still. So I'm just gonna go ahead and start to build this up on the complexion. So like on the forehead, into the hairline a little bit. And again, since I do have some coverage on from that foundation, I wanna make sure that I'm just kind of pressing the powder into the skin first before buffing. And that'll just help with making sure that the coverage doesn't get taken away as we're applying bronzer. So I'm gonna go underneath the jaw a little bit to create some definition, and then down the neck just to match everything to the rest of my body. Okay, I feel like that's enough for now. I'm just gonna take that same brush we were using with the powder and kind of buff over the edges to make sure everything looks super blended. Okay, we're gonna actually move on to the eyes. I'm gonna go ahead and fill in the brows. This is my favorite drugstore brow pencil. It's called the Maybelline Brow Ultra Slim Pencil, and it's amazing. It reminds me a lot of the Anastasia Brow Wiz pencils. And I have mine in the shade Medium Brown. I'm just gonna go ahead and start filling in the brows. And I want my brows to look really feathery and natural, not so much blocked out. I think that really adds to that expensive makeup look. And after I fill in the brows, I always flip my pencil over and use the spoolie to blend it out. That's gonna make things look so much more natural. Okay, I'm just gonna quickly fill in this brow. I love how this brow pencil looks. Also, the undertone is great. That's one thing that I used to not be able to really find too often at the drugstore, was a brow pencil that wasn't too reddish or orangey undertone. For some reason, all the brunette pencils that I tried were all like that, but this one is a really great match for my brow hairs, so I love it. Okay, I'm gonna go ahead and do the eyes. So for eyeshadow, a brand that I always reach for and always trust over so many of my high-end palettes is obviously ColourPop. You guys know how much I love ColourPop. I know how much you guys love ColourPop. So I have a few ColourPop palettes that are definitely my go-tos. I will have those linked down below, like the California Love palette. There's a couple peach ones that I love too. So I'll have those linked down below. But I wanted to try this out because ColourPop recently restocked this, and this launched forever ago, but when I received it in PR, it had already sold out. This is the ColourPop and Sailor Moon collaboration, and this is the eyeshadow palette from the collection. Look how stunning this is. But yeah, anyways, this is restocked, so hopefully it's still in stock by the time this video goes up. I guess we'll find out. Let's see, I want to use this shade right here. I'm going to start here. This is called Moon Castle, and it's a beautiful kind of blush pink color. I somehow misplaced all of my handheld mirrors that I usually use. I have no idea where I put them. Oh well, I'll just use this little compact here. All right, I'm gonna go ahead and start blending this. And the key for me when it comes to eyeshadows is blending in layers. That's always a way to make any eyeshadow look really nice. It's kind of the same concept that I talked about when I was doing the complexion. Less is more, and I feel like it's so much easier to add on top of light layers that are blended than it is to try to blend out or take away a blob of eyeshadow that you put on your eye. We've all been there. But I've learned to really just be patient with the blending, and I don't dip back into my palette very often when I'm using the same color. I just really take my time to blend everything out super nicely so that it all looks seamless in the end. I'm kind of taking what's left on the brush and buffing it right here underneath the eyebrow. That's another way to make any eyeshadow kind of look a little bit more expensive or editorial. So I'm just going to bring a little bit right here. Honestly, you guys, if you haven't caught on already, it's not always about how much a product is as much as it is about just the techniques and the way you apply them and the aesthetic of your makeup look. I think that's ultimately what makes things look really luxurious. Okay, let's see here. I'm going to go into this orange shade actually. This is called Twilight Flash, and I'm going to kind of put it right underneath the crease. I don't normally do this, but I kind of wanted to see what it would look like if there's a little bit more orange in this inner portion here and then it blended up into the pink. Yeah, I think I like that combo. Okay, I'm going to continue to kind of buff this in. Again, I haven't dipped back into the eyeshadow palette yet. I'm just working with whatever is on the brush to make sure that I'm working in light layers and that it's blending seamlessly before I add more product. Okay, I'm actually going to take this same brush with that same orange shade called Twilight Flash, and I'm going to pinch it and just run this along the lower lash line. I'm focusing most of this color in the inner corner, but I am kind of buffing it all the way out toward the edge, connecting it to the existing shadows on the top. And then I'm going to take that same brush, dipping into the pink color called Moon Castle. I'm going to tap off the extra, pinch the brush, and then I'm going to kind of work backwards, starting from the outer corner, buffing it into the inner portion. I'm going to leave the inner corner fully orange and the outer corner more fully pink, and then kind of let the two blend in the center. Okay, next I'm going to take the shade Miracle Romance, which is this really gorgeous, vibrant purple. I'm going to switch brushes for this. I'm going to use my Morphe M433, and I'm just going to add this to the outer corner of the eye, starting on the top lid, using circular motions to buff and blend right into the existing shadows. And I'm using circular motions to almost blend it like a watercolor painting, and then I'm blending it up toward the end of the brow, kind of for more of that editorial, expensive look. Same thing over here. I'm taking a very small amount, and by the way, every time I tap into the pan, I always tap my brush off on something. That way you're working with just the right amount of product and you can't really overdo it. So I'm just going to really work this in, taking my time to blend and just working in light circular motions, letting the colors kind of mesh together on their own. And again, with what's left on the brush, I'm using even lighter pressure and kind of taking it toward the end of the brow. And that's going to kind of make a gradient. Even with using just one eyeshadow color, more product with more pressure is going to create more intensity. And then once there's less and less pressure, it's going to just be a nice light wash of color, which is what I'm trying to achieve more toward the end of the brow. So I'm really into that. I'm going to take a smaller brush, tap off the extra. This is from Alamar Cosmetics. I'm going in with that same exact Miracle Romance shade, and I just want to connect those purples on just the edge of that lower lash line. I would say probably the outer fourth. Normally I say the outer third, but I'm not taking it in that far. And I'm going right in the middle of the lashes, making sure it connects on the outer corner. So something that always makes me feel really luxurious and expensive in my affordable makeup is using glitter or shimmery shadows. So I'm going to take this one right here, if it will focus, there we go. This is called Silver Crystal. It looks gorgeous. It's kind of like this duochrome pink and gold. And I'm wanting to take that on my finger. I always use my finger when it comes to shimmery shadows. I just think they perform the best this way, no matter what palette it is, you know, high-end or drugstore. I feel like this is the best way to get the most out of your shimmer shadows. So I'm just gonna go ahead and apply this on the inner third. And then once there's less on my finger, I'm just kind of dragging it over top of the pink and orange and purple, kind of like that. Same thing on this side. And then I'm gonna dip into the Super Shock shadow called Silver Millennium. And I'm just gonna use that with my finger to intensify the iridescence. This is such a pretty color. So I'm just kind of taking that and applying it right over top of where I applied the first shimmer, and you'll see how much more intense it looks side by side. I'm gonna have a little bit of fun with this color right here. This is called Luna, and I'm wanting to use this actually as my inner corner highlight. I'm gonna kind of blend the edges up into both of the shadows on the top and bottom lash lines. I'm keeping most of the focus in the very inner corner. I'm taking the same brush and dipping back into the Super Shock shadow that I just used called Silver Millennium, and I'm making sure that right here along the lash line when I open my eyes is still nice and bright. So I'm adding a bit more of that back into the eye look. Okay, I'm really happy with how everything looks. I'm gonna go ahead and apply mascara to the top and bottom lashes. This is my favorite drugstore mascara. It's the L'Oreal Voluminous Lash Paradise. This is definitely my go-to for special occasions. I'm just gonna go ahead and apply a generous amount to the top and bottom lashes. Okay, now that mascara is on, I'm gonna take that brush we were using with the more matte powder, and I'm just kind of gently sweeping away any fallout underneath the eyes since we did do the eyeshadow after complexion. Okay, for blush, I wanted to use one of my favorite drugstore blushes ever. This is from Revlon. It's the Rosy Rendezvous blush. I'm gonna use this shade more toward the back portions of the cheeks, right above where I applied the bronzer. I'm just kind of pressing that, and I'm letting it connect into that eyeshadow a little bit too, just to make it all look cohesive and blend. And then I wanted to use a little bit of a brighter shade called Rose Balm. And this is also from Revlon. And I'm gonna smile and just kind of apply that to the very apples of the cheeks. This is a little bit brighter, and I think it'll help tie in the brighter tones on the eyes. Taking a little bit of what's left on the brush and going across the center of the nose, and a little bit on the very top of the forehead, and a little on the chin. As always, I like to go over everything with a brush or a sponge. My sponge isn't too damp, so I feel like at this point it works great over top of powders too. Okay, for highlighter, I'm going to use the Neutrogena Hydra Boost Illuminator. This is in the shade Moonstone, and I'm going to take the back of my sponge and really load up the product on my sponge first. And then I'm going to press it into the back of my hand and then apply it on the very high points of my face. I think cream highlighter looks really expensive, and this is an amazing one from the drugstore. I'm going to go ahead and go around the brow in a C shape. I'm going to take a little bit on the apples of my cheeks just to kind of make things glow there. A little bit down the center of my nose gently, and then the cupid's bow as well. Okay, now I'm going to wipe away any foundation that got on the lips. I know a lot of people will just go in with lip color even if they have foundation on the lips, but I can't stand it, so I always have to wipe it off. I'm going to go in with one of my favorite lip liners for my lip color. I think it's amazing. This is actually something that you guys showed me. It's the NYX Nude Suede Shoes lip liner. And I'm going to go ahead and line and fill in the lips with this. And you don't have to do this, but I usually like to slightly overline the cupid's bow and then a little bit underneath in the very center of the lips, and then keep the rest of your lip line matching up with your actual lip line, but making it a little bit larger here and here creates a little bit more of like a pouty, plump lip effect. I wanted to use this ultra glossy lip from ColourPop. This is also from the Sailor Moon collection. It's called Moon Tiara, and it's a really pretty peach. I just felt like it would look nice with the tones on the eyes. So I'm just gonna go ahead and apply this to the center of the lips. Once I kind of have it on, I'm gonna take my finger and just press that into the lip liner. This will also take away any excess lip gloss so it doesn't get gloopy. Okay, let's step back and assess the situation. Of course, I'm gonna add a little bit more of that Milani bronzer, just kind of right underneath the cheekbones to kind of sculpt that a little bit more. I'm gonna put a little bit more on the forehead. I'm gonna take what's left on the blush brush and just kind of lightly press that on the cheeks one more time. The amount of highlighter we have is good in my opinion. So now I'm gonna go ahead and set the face. This is an incredible drugstore setting spray. It's the NYX Dewy Finish Setting Spray, and it just gives your skin the most beautiful glass-like finish while still lasting all day. I'm gonna use this little protector to cover up my eyes. I'm gonna go ahead and spray the sides of my face. Woo. Okay, and then I'm gonna let that kind of sink into the skin. And usually I can feel it kind of start to dry down, and when I feel like it's dry enough for me to take my sponge back onto the skin, I will. And I'll just kind of lightly press the setting spray down into the complexion, like super lightly. I'm barely using any pressure with the sponge. That's gonna really help it last all day long. And then I can't live without a good brow gel, so I'm gonna use this Believe Beauty Eyebrow Styling Gel in the shade Clear. I'm just gonna run this through the brows to set them. All right, you guys, so there you have it. That completes this tutorial. I love how the makeup turned out, and I can't believe that every single thing is so extremely affordable. I will have it all listed and linked down below if you guys are interested in checking it out. I seriously love how this looks. Even though I had some blemishes that were a little bit more difficult to cover, and you can still see them, I still love that you can see a little bit of my skin through the foundation. I think that really does make it look super luxurious. If you wanted more coverage, you could have added a little bit more foundation. I purposefully went a little bit lighter today just to kind of achieve a little bit more of a fresh, glowy complexion. But yeah, I hope you guys enjoy this. I hope you found it helpful. Seriously, all of these products are incredible. The formulas beat so many of my high-end products, so I hope you guys enjoyed seeing what I like to do to create a luxurious looking makeup look for a much less price. It's so much more enjoyable too when you can actually really dig into these products and use them up, because it's not going to break the bank to go through them frequently, you know? So anyway, I really had fun filming today's video. You guys know how much I love affordable makeup. I would actually love to know what products you guys reach for from the drugstore when you want to feel super glam or super luxurious. Let me know in the comments. I always love hearing from you guys. If you're new here, hi, my name is Allie, and I would love for you to join the family. You can do so by hitting the subscribe button, and if you're already a subscriber but you want to be notified on Tuesdays, Thursdays, and Saturdays at 10 a.m. Pacific Standard Time, click on the bell after you've subscribed and you'll get a notification every single time I upload a video. Thanks again for watching today's video. I love you all so much. I hope you're staying safe and staying healthy wherever you are. I hope you have a great day today, and I will see you in my next video. Love you. Bye!